not only in CL, but elsewhere. They have so much potential, and this stage, they just simply have not been living up to it. And, as much as we try to hide that bias, right? I mean, obviously, we want them to play up to the level that we know they can. It's not like we are rooting against their opponents. No, we just want these teams to play at their best, and we know that Parabellum aren't playing at their best. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, Aqualix, they are looking really good this stage. They came out week 1 and had a troubling start against One Shot, losing 7-2 there, but making a couple of adjustments kind of in their roles and how they're playing things. They come out in week 2 and they come out in week 3 and they take down Two-Faced, a team that beat Parabellum, and they take down Okami, a team that is looking exceptional this stage. They have played really well in these last 2 weeks, and honestly, like you've already said, Harrison, I would not be surprised if they can take down Parabellum here as well. I expect this one to be pretty close.
Yeah, the thing I'm concerned about is, again, we don't know Aqualix on Villa. The last time we saw PB play Villa, if I'm not mistaken, it was the grand finals of last stage, and they 7-0'd Orglis, and it was it was frankly incredible. PB played some of the best Siege I've ever seen them play in that grand final, taking 2 7-0 maps back to back. So we saw them not necessarily recently, but we have some semi-recent history on it. But Aqualix, we haven't seen them play it since they had Levron and Sod. So we have no idea what they're going to do on this map. Plus, like CJ had mentioned, they had Afer, who's running up on the Chonka on SH. He has played this map against PB before. He's got the experience of the PB Villa, and he knows, at least, PB with Sonar, how to take him down on it. And PB, their old bastions, maps like Oregon, maps like Club, have started to fall off for them. Is Villa going to be the same story?
Well, the good thing is we don't have to wait much longer to find out. I had to have a quick reshuffling of the lobby, but now that we are back in and we can take a look at our operator bans, we will get a better picture of exactly the kind of Villa that we have in store. Usually, I mean, there's some pretty standard bans we've come to expect on this match. Thatcher being the first one, of course, is no surprise. Now, the second ban, Flores, has been a very common ban on Villa, but on honestly most of the maps we've seen in this pool. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him taken off the board either. And yep, there he is. So we'll also join Thatcher as excluded from this one. Now, on the side of the defense, this is where we can see those stock standard bans as well. That Valkyrie, that Mira, but also you can throw in some projectile denial, some information denial, or some breach denial in the form of the Kaid. So no Electro Claws either.
How destructible all the floors are. He tends to be a little bit exposed when going for those. And the last ban is the one that's really going to be interesting. So it is going to be Wamai. Of course, Wamai and Flores bans kind of going hand in hand a lot of the time. Flores ban making the shield so much more powerful, and you want to take away the Wamai to kind of, bring it back to even. But in doing so, in banning Kaid and banning Wamai, you leave Mira up, you leave Valkyrie up. And, we just talked about how Maverick isn't the best on this map because of the C4 potential. That C4 potential skyrockets with the Valkyrie still on the board. Now, Gasher, we saw him tease it just for a second before he 6-picked off. No, he's gone back on it. Okay. So yeah, usually when you see a player like kind of hover around an operator and quickly pick off of it to something else, it means they're going to 6-pick to it. So definitely smart. They're not showing the Valkyrie just yet. Spirits on Ace.
Attackers need to locate and
that's a change.
As many bombs as they can.
Yeah, shuffling things around here, giving him that hard breach role. Generally more of that flex support is something we see from Ace players because, of course, that AK-12, a great weapon to have, and often if you have Ace as your secondary hard breacher, we can see those players allow themselves to get a little bit more aggressive here and there, and maybe that's what we'll be seeing from Spirits, but it's a bit too early to tell. As far as the rest of these lineups go, I mean, Penguin pulling out the IQ, that's good to see, especially on a map like Villa that has, a lot of opportunities for vertical destruction, and if you bring out an IQ, you can not only do some vertical destruction with some breaching charges, but actually use that vertical to take out some of those electronic gadgets. You can see them through the wall, you can ping them, you can spot out these black eye cameras that, like you highlighted, Harrison, Gasher is bringing to the table. But for now, this first round, we're going to be starting things off on Aviator in Games. Aqualix with a pretty standard hold and a solo roam coming out from, I think that was CZ over on the master side. Great shot there from Afer, though, to kick things off. That roam is not going to be effective for now because they've already got that opening pick on the site. So CZ will go ahead and rotate back to join the rest of the team because Aqualix already have this early edge.
Yeah, Kool-Aid saw Afer for just a second and decided to take the re-engagement instead of wait for support from his team. And, well, that just came down to Kool-Aid missing the shot. What do they call that? Why am I forgetting the word?
Located a bomb.
Wow.
What?
I'm blanking on the term. like where you place your aim. What the hell is that called?
Crosshair?
Crosshair placement. I can't believe, dude, I was blanking on that. It's been, listen, I've had a long week. His crosshair placement, not on top of things. And I was literally just about to comment too about how I like Parabellum's lineup because they're reading into how Aqualix like to play, right? They don't like playing discipline. They don't like playing behind the shields. They're not going to be going for that. So they, PB don't need the Zoe, the Iana. They don't need all that destructive power when they have plenty of burns for the Aruni gates and there's only one shield on the board. So, why not take the IQ? Why not take double hard breach? It kind of frees up your operator selection. But, I mean, in losing one of those hard breachers, you've only got the ace left who, yeah, can do a lot of work on his own. You're still going to miss out on Kool-Aid.
Yeah, Eska just missing on that nade as well. Can't quite catch that player out on the vertical, and Afer will strike once again. That kill onto Melted, giving Parabellum, or at least forcing them into even more of a difficult situation. There goes Afer on a triple. Penguin says goodnight. Good flick from Eska to get the refrag, but now in a 2v4 with 50 seconds left, they have to hunt down 4 Aqualix defenders, and that is not going to be easy. Everyone now on this defensive side is playing passively. They're sitting back and waiting. CZ, the only player who wasn't tucked away in the site itself, will be the first player killed as Parabellum try to retake this advantage and bring things back, and they will do so now that Eska gets that headshot onto Rethinkin. England is going to be caught out in the open with a smoke canister in hand, and just like that, it's Gasher against 2. Unfortunately for Parabellum, though, they have only about 10 HP between their 2 players. It's going to have to be a perfect plan, but all Gasher has to do is lob this C4. Instead, he'll sit tucked behind the vault, and Spirits will use that opportunity to sneak around and get that final blow.
Wow. Okay. What a round one. From both teams, really. Well, I guess I can't really see from both teams. From Afer, Eska, and Spirits. First off, Afer finding that 3K. Kool-Aid getting a little bit over-aggressive. Afer just playing in and around Study as fluidly as I've ever seen it played. Getting 3 kills before getting traded by Eska. It was a 2v5 for Eska and Spirits. And I was going to say, if there's any 2 people on PB who are going to clutch this up, it's going to be the Frenchies. And it was just gunfight after gunfight. What Aqualix did is they didn't peel back, right? CZ stays all the way over towards the master side of things, and he just happens to lose his one, whatever. Okay, 3v2, still doable for Aqualix. But the way they were positioned, you have one guy in bar with no help. It's just the Jaeger, completely isolated. You have Smoke playing Vault and Gasher by the shield. That all kind of started spiraling apart when Eska got the kill in the bar, right? Because if Spirits had been the one to get more aggressive, right, and start taking the fights into Skull, he was already low HP, and that would have been the 2v1. The fact that Eska took the only 1v1 available and won it when he did is the only reason they won that round. Because of that, that puts pressure on the backside. England is like, oh crap, our Jaeger, who is just simply standing out in the open against the wall, he's dead. I now have to turn my attention over, and I don't know if he thought maybe the wall was like, the breach was maybe too high for Eska to see him. Tries throwing a gas canister, and Eska peeks at the perfect time. And that was down to just Aqualix, a little bit of poor positioning, and really good timing from PB.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, Harrison, because that head height hold that Eska was utilizing, I mean, there's no way he could have seen England had England just crouched, right?
Yeah.
Had England just decided to crouch and throw that smoke instead of standing out in the open and throwing that smoke. I mean, there could have there are so many different things that if they had gone differently, I think Aqualix would have taken that round no problem at all. They had a tremendous advantage, like you said, a 2v5 for Parabellum, but it just goes to show that you can never count them out of a round until, of course, that clock hits 000 or that diffuser goes down. But for now, this round will once again continue at a brisk pace here because Parabellum are already working their way up and taking some gunfights. Kool-Aid is the first player to strike, and CZ is silenced. This roamer once again trying to maybe get some early opportunities, and so far in round number 2, no such opportunities for Aqualix. Parabellum with this early advantage now that they've cleared out this trophy side, and now rotating around to hunt down Gasher.
Yeah, getting the first pick on the CZ. Kool-Aid kind of amending his woe from last round. Interesting factoid, too. If you remember when we showed the leaderboards of the players, Kool-Aid is the best entry player on the squad right now. Not Spirits, not Melted, not Eska. It's Kool-Aid, the hard support. And after, you know, going down first in the previous round and getting the first pick here, he's at +5, which for a Hibana main is pretty interesting. After PB have, I guess, decided that their clear of the bottom floor is significant enough, they will turn their attention up the red stairs. Never mind, Penguin actually continues to push on through, and he finds the kill onto Gasher. No more C4 from below. The only C4 you have available to you is now Afer, who is tucked on the site. Spirits is going to attempt to nade out this shield. Unfortunately, Eska's nade actually finds it. I'm actually a little bit surprised that the blast radius was able to get it that close. But England can still be a pretty big threat. He's going to swing around, find the Iana clone, actually get the down. Where's the trade? I don't know what Eska was doing. Eska actually team killed Zach, trying to get the kill. That was a little bit of a, that was an odd scuffle over there, but there's only 25 seconds left, and it's a 2v4 in the favor of PB. In rushes Eska, he goes down, rethinking, gets a kill of his own, make it a double for the Jaeger, and what just happened? Eska just sprinting wildly into the site, goes down, drops case, and the round spirals out of control. A 3K for the rethinking gives AQ the equalizer.
Okay, so that's back-to-back rounds where two teams have started off exceptionally well and then let that advantage slip away. That's two surprising outcomes, but at the end of the day, I guess we sit here tied, so it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but round 1, it was Aqualix who should have won it, without question, and Parabellum who squeaked it out. And round 2, what we just witnessed was Parabellum with a tremendous edge, and then they let it slip through their fingers. Great job from Aqualix exploiting a couple of over-eager Parabellum decisions, trying to maybe push into the site as individuals, maybe play for some gunfights. It wasn't clear exactly what snapped in Parabellum's mind to create that hole that allowed Aqualix to climb back in, but whatever it was, well done on Aqualix to take advantage of that.
Yeah, the, well, first of all, the TK was really unfortunate. I don't know what Eska, I wonder if maybe Eska tucked in the corner, like hopped on a drone or something and got off in a frenzy, just spraying wildly at the enemy in front of him and accidentally team killed Spirits, although I'm pretty sure Spirits was already downed by the time England was fragged.
I think you're right, yeah.
That was really weird. And then also the decision to simply sprint into the default plant spot instead of checking his angle. I guess they just didn't expect someone to be playing close vault, because that was probably the easiest kill of Afer's life. And rethinking held down, I'm pretty sure Penguin tried to walk up main stairs while Kool-Aid was pressuring Study. So again, you know, it's kind of the same thing that felled Parabellum that we saw in round 1 from Aqualix. It was just really weird and poor positioning.
Well, hopefully both of these teams can remedy some of their positioning issues, and we can see a cleaner round number 3 here. At least Aqualix will now be forced to switch up their bomb site thanks to a unusually but successful defense of Aviator and Games. They'll be over here on Trophy and Statuary, and that is actually where Parabellum are going to be choosing to make their entrance, not bothering to go for that full clear from the Study side. Instead, contesting this bomb site head on already, throwing a couple of flashbangs in. That's going to clear the path for Spirits and his frag grenade to encroach upon that doorway. And at the same time, while they gather this intel, Melted will rotate around toward this bathroom window. So everyone on Parabellum stacked up and ready to push onto this site. Of course, a lot of work to do. Still have to clear out these bandit batteries from the wall here. That's going to be Eska's job. But once they do that, we may see a bit of an early push.
Flashes are coming in. That'll full blind CZ as they attempt to clear over the wall. Unfortunately, they didn't clear everything, though, and now Eska is a little bit nervous about throwing in another nade. Ooh, CZ nearly rips the head off the Iana. Spirit's going to wisely fall back before re-engaging the same angle. Spirits, you are smarter than that, my friend. I know you expected CZ to still be holding that, and that's going to give the first frag again to Aqualix. You are losing your Iana, a good bit of intel, as well as nades and gone. And I mean, that can't feel good, especially because Eska only has one nade left. But CZ is going to fall to the same mistake, get a little bit over-aggressive, and die to the trade of Kool-Aid. Eska is downstairs on a hunt of his own, attempting to ascend Astro. There's someone with their back turned to him. Eska could get an easy frag, and he will, but it's only a trade, as Afer had previously taken out one of his other teammates. Penguin dies on the Dokkaebi, so no influence is going to be found by that phone call, but Eska has absolutely no idea where the Astro Man is. England ends up with the cover, and Rethink and finds the last. Aqualyx take round number 3.
Well, the head-on challenge that Parabellum just issued, well, it failed. I mean, straight up, they just took engagements one at a time, trying to just win out that round with gunfights alone, and it did not work. I mean, early in the round, it looked like they had a good plan going for them, right? They had the flash dump, they had the nades from Eska, they were trying to take care of the bandit batteries. But Harrison, what happened to that plan? It was all of a sudden, they just decided to be like, you know what? Let's just start to swing things. Eska didn't die. He still had a nade in pocket. Yes, the first frag grenade was caught out by an ADS, but instead of throwing that second frag grenade right behind, he decided to wait. For what? I have no idea. Maybe they wanted some more burn to come in, but in that time, in that waiting period before that next nade could come in, you had CZ take that fight with Spirits over on that master door. Then you had Eska rotate around and try to come from below, abandoning his post on that master wall. And so the initial plan of getting open that site, exposing those angles, and taking those early fights, it kind of fell to the wayside, and Parabellum collapsed with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know why Eska didn't just throw the second nade or just nade from below. I mean, you know, if there's anything that I know Eska is good at, it's nading from below. I've been watching him do it for 2 years now. That was probably the easiest solution. You just do it right under the wall, and all 3 batteries are down, and there you go. You can reach. I guess he would have rather made the play up Astro, and I mean, he got his pick, sure, but everyone else died, and he lost the smoke in Astro, quite comically, I may add. So, we're finally seeing the tertiary site. Aqualix have to head down to dining as they've taken the last 2 in a row. And what do they have this time? They've got the Pulse. The analyst desk highlighted how efficient Aqualix are when it comes to acting off of intel. And now not only do they have the Black as the Valkyrie, but they've got the heartbeat sensor as well. After droning out England, Eska will send a pre-fire his way. Unfortunately for him, no shots will land. England and Afer will skirt away scot-free, though Afer is still playing close on the doorway to perhaps catch an attacker off guard should they re-challenge this window.
Tempting the swing, but his position is always going to be communicated because that Aruni gate will go down when somebody is tempting a swing or is right near on that doorway. So the nade will force Afer back for the time being, but once again, he will be indicating to Parabellum that there is somebody standing by that doorway, and maybe that's enough to delay Parabellum. Maybe they're stalling out because of this ever-present Valkyrie. He's not going to actually push into Master. He'll stay tucked behind, staying in trophy and rather statuary itself. And in the meantime, actually, Parabellum are gearing up for an early push. A spray through the pantry barricade results in Spirits getting knocked down onto his back. Eska will respond with a kill of his own, however, as CZ is taken down in response. Afer finally deciding to get aggressive, and it will work as Melted is caught off guard. The second player on this top floor, Eska, now is on the hunt. He'll go for the swing, and it will work for him. A double kill for Eska now, and essentially a 3v3, now 3v2, as Penguin finally gets that kill onto England. Rethinkin says goodnight. Eska on a triple kill now, and it's going to be all up to Gasher in a 1 versus 3. He'll step around Tetris, looking towards Pantry. He knows somebody's there, and a great shot will drop the diffuser in the site. But in the meantime, Spirits has been recovered, and Parabellum maintain the 3 versus 1 advantage.
Ooh, Gasher nearly gets caught with the C4 in hand, but Eska misses a crucial bit of shots. He'll go down. Spirits on the Iana clone will drone out Gasher once again. They know he's behind Tetris, and they know he doesn't have a C4. Penguin is going to have to go for the plant, but Spirits is so low on HP. Gasher needs to find this free fire. He's only 1 bullet from death, but Spirits still wins the fight, and though the round gets hairy, PB will still come away with it. We're tied up 2-2 once again. The top floor take I was really nervous about because Afer was playing it just passive enough and wasting enough time, and especially too when Spirits went down in Pantry, I was nervous. I thought Aqualyx for sure were going to take that control and win that round, but eventually the vertical superiority came out, though late, and Parabellum recovered.
Yeah, the play from Afer, I like that you highlighted it, Harrison, because it was extremely impactful at giving Aqualyx, we'll call it the early edge, right? He had a lot of time waste and actually ended up finding that kill onto Melted, but where they slightly went wrong was when Afer went for the retreat into Astro and the swing onto the master bathroom, right? Had he decided to rotate away and maybe head back down the red stairs, kind of that fall off strategy that we've seen Aqualix show us, honestly, week after week, doing this so well, taking fights, but then when they see that maybe they're going to be overwhelmed, they back on off and play passively. Had Afer done that, I think this is an Aqualix round. Now, I wouldn't say without question, but I think they would really be in the advantage at that point. You still have Afer, a gun up on that site, and I think you still have a C4 as well, which would have come in crucial for that plant eventually when it to go down. You combine that with the Pulse who was left on site, you have that intel to work with, and it really would have been a very different outcome. But thankfully for Parabellum, you had Eska taking that fight and Afer willing to challenge him on that, and it didn't pay off in the end.
Yeah, the Eska as well having another big round, 3 kills for him. That round does not go nearly the same way if he doesn't just walk down the stairs and kill everything in his path. We see a Blitz come out now. Both the IQ and the Blitz, 2 very rare picks nowadays. Parabellum will opt to bring them both. They know that the Valkyrie is still on the board. Penguin will continue to scan for that utility from below. Afer will drop, though, through the art hatch, and Penguin re-peeks into the pre-fire. Afer takes punishment, but does not die. That is once again an early first pick for Aqualyx, on the IQ no less. So if those Valkyrie cameras are well hidden, it will probably remain so. And those mute jammers as well, they might cause a headache for PB because they can no longer clear them from below.
Yeah, I mean, headache for PB. I mean, I feel like that's been the story of these Aqualyx defenses. They've been really good at making Parabellum work tirelessly for every single inch of map control. And so far in this round, it's been a bit of back and forth. You'll get that trade onto Rethinkin, and still Afer is pretty low. So Parabellum have brought this one back, but with the 90 seconds they have remaining, they still have a lot to clear and a lot of intel to gather about what kind of setup they're about to walk into, because using Spirits here to the max is going to require a good bit of intel about where these final defenders are located, right? You can't push up 90 Hall and take a turn into games if CZ is holding that cross and is going to shoot Spirits in the back the moment he turns his head. You need to be careful about that. So that's the intel game that Parabellum are trying to bring out right now, and so far it's proving effective, right? A great nade onto Gasher will nearly take him down. He'll be cut down to 1 HP at this point, and Eska is now hoping to further the pressure from below and maybe get a kill to spur on this Parabellum push.
This is dangerous for Eska, though. Challenging from below, those angles usually work in the favor of the defense, and the smoke coverage will allow Spirits through 90. Eska, though, as I say that, he goes down thanks to Afer swinging the man advantage in the favor of the defense. Kool-Aid now all alone with Diffuser in hand. Spirits will hear a C4 rip. He's going to go ahead and burn the Aruni gate, making way for another gas canister, burning even more time for PB. Kool-Aid now set up on the study door. He's waiting for this pinch with his team. In fact, he will just simply wade in behind the table. He's now got the default plant spot to himself, but he can hear the C4, and he'll snipe it out of the air. Spirits will come in, blinding the Valkyrie. There's the finisher. Melted also going to get a kill, and Spirits the double with the blitz. PB storm in on round 5 and take the lead.
I mean, it really came down to shooting that C4 out of the air, I'm going to be honest, because if that had landed, had been allowed to go off, that was, I think, not one, but 2 Parabellum attackers sent sky high. The shield play would never have been allowed to happen, but that moment was really exceptional for Parabellum, allowing Spirits to do what he does best. Blitz shield at the helm, just shoving his way on into Vault, and the moment that he stepped foot into Vault, that round, it was pretty much over. He had the Valkyrie full flash. He could then swing on to games. He had multiple victims in front of him. And really, it was all she wrote for Aqualix in that round. A valiant attempt and pretty solid time delay with those toxic smokes. But what Parabellum also did quite well is applying enough pressure to force Aqualix to use those smokes a bit earlier than I think they would have liked. In the ideal world, they could have saved them maybe another 15, 20 seconds even into that round to make that final push even harder for Parabellum. But because Parabellum were just on the precipice of that execute, Aqualix knew that they had to use those smokes, they had to use those C4s, and because of a couple of misses and because the abundant time that Parabellum had left themselves for that final push, Parabellum were able to make it happen.
10 seconds to insertion.
And that's something that PB have, or something that's been said about PB pretty often is I've heard them be compared to SSG in a similar way, at least last stage, in that PB knows how to abuse certain operators, such as Blitz and such as Ying, as we're now seeing from Penguin. You see PB pick up these operators, you know they mean business, and they can be quite scary if you do not have the proper counters set up. And of course, Aqualix, well, I mean, PB haven't been running the Ying all half. The last round of the attack, and it was 6-pick-2. So Aqualix don't have the Warden to deal with it. Penguin can get in properly. If Aqualix allow Parabellum to set up, and that's going to be the first step for PB getting a good nade on the CZ, this Ying could be, I mean, the sole winning factor in this round.
Well, you gotta be careful for England, who's just gonna hang out over by Aviator and just go for this first swing, and he's got rethinking to support. In the meantime, the plant just goes down, and Parabellum, with a kind of sort of rush attempt, will find a good bit of success. Spirits gets one. Spirits lines up one more, shuts down England, and Parabellum come out of nowhere and take the round. Harrison, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't even notice the plant was going down until that timer started just ticking away. I mean, Ying, so powerful.
So Parabellum had probably one of the best reads I've seen in a while, right? So they see pretty much about half of Aqualix's manpower is offsite, right? You have one holding red, 2 study side, 2 site. You nade the guy red instantly. Perfect nade from Eska. Down goes CZ, who unfortunately has been having as good of a game as he had last week against Okami. You have now completely divided the defense between your study side players and your trophy side players. The Ying Candelas don't go in over towards where the plant is going down. No, they go in over towards Astro and Split, blinding the players holding back towards site. And Penguin is on the Astro Repel, knowing that there's no defenders playing inside of Trophy. He has a cutoff. Melted playing on the Skull window has a cutoff. Well, he had a cutoff before he dies. And Kool-Aid hops through Boar. I never see that happen. Who hops through Boar and plants close doorway? He is simply planting on the other side of the doorway. Eska follows him, sure, gets cut down by Rethinkin', but Rethinkin's got no freaking idea the plant is going down. Who would? So Kool-Aid hops off of it and shoots the bandit in the back to get the trade. And from there, Parabellum's positioning was just so strong, they caught Aqualix by surprise. and just the sheer shock factor won them that round.
A great way to finish out their attacking half. That's definitely a confidence booster going into your defense, and that one's not going to make Aqualyx very happy because they let themselves fall victim to one of these Hail Mary type plays, these high risk, high reward type plays, and that never feels good when you're on the receiving end of something like that. So Aqualix now moving on to their attack. They are going to want to start things off strong to get the momentum back on their side and build up that confidence again. CZ, Rethinkin, and England will all make their entry on this first floor. They'll be joined by their teammates now towards the bottom of the main stairs as they begin a good bit of vertical pressure on towards this Aviator in Games site. Melted seems very eager to challenge them, and with this Tachanka LMG, he is going to be swinging back and forth and actually catch out CZ, taking him down with just one bullet or two, clipping him in the shoulder. That's a powerful weapon, and well, it'll take CZ down, but he should be able to be recovered unless Melted can spot him out. But I think England will be able to get that done, and a couple of bullets heading in Melted's direction will make him a bit more passive on those angles.
Yeah, that was scary for CZ for a second, and as well for Melted when he hit that the vault over the bar, nearly getting caught out by the player below. Spirits is now the one on smoke. Another very interesting decision as Penguin whips pretty much all of his shots and will pay for it with his life. Spirits is still hovering on the staircase. He's stayed his welcome for a rather long time with both the gas canisters and the Chonka Flames assisting him. He deals a ton of damage to Afer, and now plenty of Aqualix members are low, but none of them have been fragged out just yet. That's the important part. So they'll turn their attention over towards red. And now they have Eska to fight. And Aqualix, it just seems like with so much of the defense being dedicated to main stairs and Aqualix already spending 2 minutes here, that they no longer know where to go. And Melted ends up finishing CZ with the fire for the equalizer.
That is a brutal way to go if you're Aqualix, especially because Parabellum seemingly have trapped Aqualix all over this map. So much so that Aqualix were forced to rotate all the way around to the backstairs of Astro. They're going to rotate all the way back up towards red. They'll get a kill doing it, but it's cost them about 30 seconds of time. Melted drops down Case in Study. He can see it perfectly, and England now has to fight for this. Afer will get a kill onto Melted, so that could be big. But here's Kool-Aid playing the close angle. Oh no, he misses some crucial shots. Spirits last alive. England whips around and shuts him on down. And what just happened? Parabellum, with it looked like everything going their favor, just lose it out again.
It started with probably one of the most fervent main stairs holds I've seen. All the smoke, all the fire being dedicated there, eventually getting a kill too. Big point was Penguin missing all of his shots on the ash below. If only one more bullet hit, he would have died to the shotgun blast of Spirits on the staircase. And Afer wouldn't have been able to come up by Boar and get the unexpected kill onto, I think that was Eska. But Aqualix, after being unable to take main, fanned out, and I really didn't think it was going to work with the way things were going, with just how spread out they were, but they found their engagements and won them, and that's kind of what you can rely upon with Aqualix. In situations like that, they will isolate the 1v1s, and more often than not, at least in this season, they tend to be successful. PB's positioning, too. It's another point of positioning, right? You have Spirits off-site, because he's out of gas canisters, I guess, like, over towards bar or whatever. You have Kool-Aid tucked in by the study doorway, and you have Melted holding down, I think, Insight as well. Melted is very low HP, so he goes down. England rushes in, and I guess Kool-Aid was just not expecting the sprint, because he just whiffed all his shots. If Kool-Aid was holding a little bit more aggressive of an angle, he would have had more time to shoot the Nomad. If he just followed through instead of trying to stand in place and shoot, he would have killed the Nomad. That would have prevented Melted from getting that kill. I mean, PB would have had full study control as well as case control. They just really dropped the ball in the 2vX in what could have been a decently easy round win. PB are doing something a little bit weird. They're extending all the way into Master, assisted not only by Castle Barricades, but Mute Jammers as well.
Yeah, going for a very bold defensive strategy, much like the last round. They're trying to take as much map control, maintain as much map control as possible, and try to prevent Aqualix from even coming in the building or even getting, right up to that site. And this Mira window is going to assist that, right? This is actually, I think, the first time we've seen Mira here today. And even though she's been unbanned the entire time, on their side of things, Aqualix never opted to bring her out. Instead, opting for other operators that provide, I mean, a ton of other very valuable defensive utility. But in this kind of setup, this kind of hold that Parabellum are bringing, there really isn't any more valuable operator than Mira in this instance, because Parabellum can see everything going on in Master. Penguin doesn't have to face check this angle to know if somebody has pushed on in. They can see the entire thing, and that's going to make Aqualix very wary about pushing on in. They can utility dump from range, and so they're going to do that with a nade here, and that's going to, I think, do a little bit of damage to Penguin, but barely anything. Still going to be above 100 HP, and so still persisting here in this position. So will Kool-Aid. Aqualix might be looking to rotate down below, and they will do so. CZ will pop out that Mira window glass, and so that will enable Aqualix to finally push on in, at least I would assume. But don't forget about Penguin. He's still a problem, and he's going to swing on Afer and take him down. Rethinking has also been dropped, and this Aqualix push, even though they should have an avenue to go through, they're struggling.
Yeah, the one danger of Mira on this map, as we all know, is the destructibility of those floors, but I think it came way too late for Aqualix. They should have identified that way earlier in the round. Now, as they lose CZ being finished off by Kool-Aid, it is a 3v5. Gasher attempting to solo into Astro, has to fight Melted against a 9mm C1, an SMG that hits like a truck, especially against the AK-12. I mean, sure, it's higher fire rate, but this might be an even fight. Kool-Aid will find his second onto England, finishing off the Nomad. In comes the secondary shotgun from Melted. Kool-Aid finds a 3K, and it's a flawless defense from PB. Again, Aqualix just not adjusting to the Mira window setup early enough, and we saw that angle from Kool-Aid being played through the slits in the destructible wall into Closet, dealing a lot of damage.
Harrison, I think we have a perfect comparison between these back-to-back defensive rounds for Parabellum, because at its core, both rounds for PB and the setups they brought out, they were designed to do the same thing. Force Aqualix to think outside the box, go through maybe a decision-making process they haven't had to before, and waste a lot of time as a result. In the previous round, with the extremely powerful main stairs hold and red stairs hold, the goal was to force Aqualix to rotate around, pivot their entire attacking strategy, and try to recover. And in the previous round, it was the same idea. Put so much pressure in Master. Even if you might be leaving the other side of the map a bit exposed, you know what Aqualix are going to do. They want to challenge you head on. If you can prevent them from going through those initial steps and force them to rotate and change something up, that is going to cost them time. And the difference in the Aqualix success they've had is in the first attempt on that Aviator in Games attack. They had time because they adapted a bit quicker, and it just took them a little bit longer on that trophy and statuary attack. They weren't quite sure how they wanted to pivot around that Mira window, and that cost them in the end.
I wonder if maybe Aqualix just aren't that used to teams who are able to stunt the aggression and stop them from pushing, because PB, I mean, like you said, PB's plan right now and the way PB are playing is, okay, Aqualix want to do this. We are simply not going to let them do that. They want to go this way, well, too bad. And we force them to adapt, and Aqualix, well, they were able to adapt to it once, and not the other. Kool-Aid is going to be very early on, fragged out. I believe that was by Rethinkin, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, took an aggressive gunfight downstairs. Did a lot of damage to CZ, but ended up losing it. Now your player who got a 3K holding down by Master in the Mira window last round, a huge pivot point for your defense, is no longer with you.
CZ has been lit up here in the meantime, so something for Parabellum to show as some progress, but still, Aqualix will hold this advantage, and they will once again be attempting to work their way in from below. They've already begun a lot of this vertical pressure, as you noted already. Kool-Aid has fallen to that, but they still haven't pressured main stairs just yet. Spirits is more than content to just sit here. He's got those 3 toxic smokes in his pocket, and he's got Melted nearby to assist if need be. So the shield will be dealt with, and that's half the battle, but Spirits is next. Wait a minute, Penguin dropped down! He's going to drop straight into Art Studio and catch one headshot onto Afer. Gasher with the refrag, but one will find its way to Parabellum right back. Rethinking will catch Eska, who was also trying to get over aggressive. And despite the early play and catching Aqualix off guard, Melted and Spirits are now left alone to fight against 3.
And it would have been a 3v3 had Kool-Aid not gotten aggressive early on, or it could be a 2v2 if only he'd finished the kill onto CZ. I was a little confused there. When Gasher flicked around towards the mute, he didn't hit Eska once. That was really confusing to me. Swear to God, he hit those shots. But CZ's coming in from study. Rethinking and Gasher, both trying to push up red, but they're facing a shield. They need CZ to make a play, because otherwise they're going to be delayed for a very long time here. Rethinking nearly gets the shot through the slit in the shield, but Melted is going to be forced to fall back. He'll be caught by CZ. There's the play we needed. Gasher runs in. Spirits misses his shots. He's got one gas canister remaining. Is it going to be enough? Is it too late? Gasher's sticking the plant. It goes down, and none of the gas hits him. It's now a 1v3 for Spirits to clutch up. There's a man on the study balcony. He's going to have to take this fight first, but CZ's on the rappel, and he is low. That's an easy finisher, but Spirits takes a lot of punishment for it. It's just 1 bullet's worth of HP now. There's a man inside the site, right by the study door. It's Gasher on the AK-12 with Rethinking covering from study, and Spirits has to isolate these fights. He'll nearly find one, but miss the shot. Gasher swings through and loses, though, and Spirits is on a triple. He's only got one more to find. Rethinking is going to play smart, and he's going to back way, way up. He knows he can play for time. Spirits is going to be forced to get on this defuse. Only 2 more seconds, and there we go. The round is lost. Spirits is just going to try and get his kill, and Rethinking knows all he has to do is wait, and Spirits won't even get it. Aqualyx take round number 9, and we slim the gap even more.
It did get a bit hairy in that post plant, but with a 1v3 situation, if you know what you're doing, or even sort of know what you're doing, you should win that in the 3v1 every single time. In the case of Aqualix, it was 3 attackers who were spread out in 3 different positions. And while they couldn't play off each other and play the swing, each player individually did their job sufficiently, and they each took up enough time. Gasher specifically playing on that ace, he didn't just swing out and throw his body at the problem early on. He waited a while to do that. There was that back and forth around the doorway, around that soft wall, who's going to swing who. That time waste was enough to win them the round, because even that kill that had been found onto CZ, that didn't waste a ton of time. Great work, of course, from Parabellum to make that one happen. But in the end, with 15 seconds left and 1 player left to find, as long as that player has, just any sort of head on their shoulders and knows not to take that fight, you're going to win that every single time. So great job from Aqualix to make sure they secured that round. And yes, Harrison, like you said, narrowing this gap, now only 1 round away. Parabellum, they've had, mixed success on this defensive side, only taking that 1 round so far. And so now they're hoping that going to Kitchen and Dining can maybe be their saving grace.
5 seconds to go.
Bring out Legion, too, who is an operator who's dropped off rather significantly ever since the nerf when they took away the symbols on the goo mines through walls. But I do understand the Legion pick. You're not going to get as much info off of it, but it is still a loud sound cue. And what does Legion do? It slows down the attack. With goo mines on the floor, attacker steps in it, they are forced to stop for a few seconds and take them out and think twice about pushing, because now they don't know if you know where they're coming from. So I do like the Legion pick from PB specifically against this team and how Aqualix have been playing, because Aqualix really, if they know where they want to go and PB do not stop them adequately enough, Aqualix's aggression is never stunted.
Well, a bit of a rotation now for Aqualix. CZ will be looking to challenge Melted early on, who's just hiding behind this living room pillar, taking these fights and trying to delay as much time as possible. A couple of bullets will actually successfully land onto Afer, because this is, it seems like a 2 or 3 pronged living room hold. You've got Spirits providing support. You've got Eska supporting on the vertical here, and a C4 that's actually going to go down and pretty much be wasted there, only serving to open up that hatch. But again, Parabellum are committing to these extensions, and they're committing to holding off Aqualix before they can take even any semblance of map control. And so far, once again, it is working here in round number 10. Penguin gets one, Eska, or Spirits rather, gets the first. Eska gets the second, and Aqualix now have to fight back in this 3 versus 5. Spirits, no way he wins that. Playing very aggressively. Now he'll jump out to secure his double kill, and Aqualix, they have a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, Aqualix tried to full court press on the horizontal, and PB were more than ready for it. It's a flawless round, a 3K for Spirits. And again, to analyze that, full horizontal take. I mean, really nothing dedicated to vertical at all, and Parabellum knew that. Aqualix try to force themselves in through living room, through library into living room, and they just kind of stand there. They just kind of stand there peeking angles over and over again, hoping Parabellum expose themselves. And once Parabellum finally do, well, they win their fight. Spirits gets the first one on the long angle. Eska is left unchecked upstairs because I think there's a single Aqualix player going up there to try and clear with no drones in front of him. So that's the easiest kill of Eska's life. And what happens to Aqualix? Well, they're just kind of left fumbling in the wind. Spirits gets another one peeking off of his own intel through the doorway. And Aqualix are just way too spread out with no control and no trade potential whatsoever. That was an attack where it really looked like Aqualix couldn't decide on what they wanted to do. And now they have to deal with the PB trophy defense again. Now, they saw this last time. They know what to do about the mirror windows. Are they going to do it early enough? Or are PB going to adjust to account for that?
What we need to see here, Harrison, is Aqualix pushing straight into kitchen and dining and taking that bottom floor immediately. They can't wait to identify the hole, then figure out what they want to do. They need to pop that mirror window within seconds of starting this round if they want to find success. They need to be decisive with their decision-making here, because just like you mentioned in that previous round, they could not adjust and adapt fast enough. These extensions that Parabellum are bringing out, they're lethal if you let Parabellum have their way with it. And in the rounds that Parabellum have won on this defensive side, the trophy and statuary round and that kitchen and dining round, they have indeed had their way with it. But Aqualix now appear to be adjusting quite a bit. But their adjustment is actually walking into another part of this Parabellum extension. This extension over on the Aviator and game side of things. Another mirror window. Spirits manning that right now, holding down this south side of the map. This is where Aqualix are going to make their initial entry, and they're going to have a couple of heads-up gunfights right away.
CZ is just going to sprint right in past the mirror window, knowing that that player doesn't have time to react to him, and start pushing on through, taking this control. After CZ's aggressive assault through, BB are going to immediately fall off, though. They're going to say, no, we don't want to overstay our welcome. We want to conserve the lives, not risk the fights, and I think that is smart, especially because Rethinking is below. If someone had persisted on that mirror window, they could very well be faced with a nade. So all of Parabellum are now back towards the site and the adjacent rooms. But the mirror window that Aqualix had fought so hard against and failed against is no longer really going to be that much of a factor.
Right, they're approaching from the other side, and they're completely neutralizing all of that utility that Parabellum had allocated to that position. Oh, wait.
They changed the mirror. They adjusted.
Wait, they did. Oh, that's big. That's big from PB here. Okay, so Spirits is now using this angle to shut down that push from the boar window, that push from the trophy landing in 90 Hall. You've got Eska to support that. And Eska actually, wow, playing aggressively and nearly catching the head of England. But this is once again going to put Aqualix in a tough spot, because now pushing into trophy is a death sentence, and pushing into statuary is as difficult as it always is. Not to mention, because they haven't taken master control, which Rethinking is attempting to do now, there are a couple of players who can swing on you from there. Aqualix still have their work cut out for them, and now only realizing this, they have 40 seconds to make all of this happen.
They also don't have anyone in the Astro window. Again, while of course it's different in-game because of the stress, it seems so obvious to us. And Aqualix aren't going to make that adjustment. They just simply don't have the time. A C4 goes out on the balcony. Penguin with the early pick on a Rethink, and that is all your master pressure now done for, and you no longer have the crossfire on the site you were looking for if you're the attack. In comes the push. Kool-Aid hitting the deck, gets one. Eska another. Kool-Aid finishes one off before he goes down, and PB take round 11 flawlessly. ready for Aqualix's adjustment, making some of their own. Parabellum with a 7-4 win keep their playoffs hopes alive.